sometimes I find that people hold on to friendships, relationships, whatever, kinships, because some of your relatives, just because they're your relatives, don't mean make them family. But I'm just saying. But I think sometimes people hold on to things longer than they should just because it's a part of their history or just because it's something that they've known. These shoes make it look like I've got legs for days. Ha cha 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 cha. And I'm saying baby, but it was really a toddler, like 3 or so. So they understood no and stop and be quiet. They chose to ignore it. They ignored it all. I'll have you home before it's dark, so let me know. So before I get going too much on this video, I wanted to grab a little sippy sip, need some water, because I figure I'll do some talking, because that's what I do, I talk. And today is kind of an extension. Got me showing out in front of y'all. Y'all know I don't really put glass on glass. But it's an extension of what I had started talking about the other day when I was setting my hair. And that was just kind of about how sometimes we outgrow friendships and things like that. And my tendency personally to not really depend on people because I'm so tired of being let down. You know what I mean? Like, people can depend on me for various things, but don't let me ask for something, because either I don't get it or I'm waiting for a long time. But it's not going to let me stop extending myself in terms of establishing new friendships and things like that. You know what? I think I'm kind of playing myself because I should be wearing some readers, because it just helps me to see the cuticle a whole lot better, baby. I'm gonna keep it real. These are like my Fred G. Sanford ones. But they get the job done. So anyway, I was talking about the other day that idea of, like I said, outgrown friendships, basically, for lack of a different way of putting it. And it just kind of made me think too about me not depending on people and people not being reliable. But if I'm being really honest, I have to take a huge part of the onus on that. I have to take that onus because we've all heard the saying before, you treat people how to treat you, right? And so I have taught people that I am Mrs. Reliable. I will come through. I'll probably not really complain, because my thing is, if I'm gonna do it anyway, what's the point of complaining? You know, it just gets me upset and bothered. So 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna complain. I might let someone know, you know, you about on your last one of these, but I'm not gonna bother with all the complaining. So again, that's why I take some of that onus. I teach people how to treat me. What's funny to me about all of that is, though, when you finally stand up or you get fed up or whatever your up is, and you say no, man, you see the true colors in those people then. That's when you really have to just step back and ask yourself, is this person taking advantage of me? And then you gotta go further. If they are taking advantage of you, is it because they're malicious, mean, or are they just doing what you've allowed them to do? And 9 times out of 10, it's the last one. They're just doing what you've allowed them to do. They may not even be thinking that it's a huge deal. They may have zero ill intent whatsoever, but they're just used to it because that's been the pattern or the dynamic of the two of you. Excuse me. That's when you start having to ask yourself some of those hard questions I was talking about. What have I normalized? What have I allowed to happen? Am I doing this because I feel like sacrifice is a part of love? You know, have I been taught that somewhere along the way? I think for a huge portion of the population of women, we have been taught that we do some suffering. We got to be that ride or die first, but in the end, and then later, and we'll get our reward later. You know, we go through the toils of life, but in the end, there's going to be a heaven. And I do believe in heaven, but I don't know that a lot of the issues and problems and stuff that we go through are ordained or are God's way. You know, I think a lot of times there are things that we know better, we ignore our intuition, and then we have to deal with it. We'll go back later and say, see, I saw a couple, 2, 3 red flags, but I thought I could turn them yellow, or maybe you thought you could turn them green. When it doesn't happen, we say, oh, well, you know, maybe it wasn't meant for us to have our happily ever after, but you know, I'm working on raising these kids by myself. I'm struggling through it, but you know, chances are before you even have the kids and things like that, or at least in my case sometimes, chances are there were some red flags that I kind of turned orange, or maybe I can, you know, no, leaving red flags alone. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, we have to ask ourselves, is this person doing it because we've normalized it? Do we have a tendency to think that we have to suffer through before we get our reward and our loving relationship later? And, you know, those are deep questions I know I've asked myself, and maybe you'll have to ask yourself at some point. The simple truth of the matter is, we people, we are just creatures of habits. We learn things through repetition, and so if every time someone has called you with a problem, you've stepped up and you've solved their problem, then you're not really, I don't know that either of you is to blame, but you're just being a human. You're going through the pattern. This person is used to having you solve their problems. This person is used to being able to call you, and every time you're rushing to it. I mean, they ask you to loan them $5, you give them 10. And maybe they do or maybe they don't pay you back, but you rush to be their problem solver. So it's not like they are necessarily using you. They're simply going through the motions of the pattern and the repetition that you guys have set in place in the dynamic of your relationship. You know what I mean? And that's just how that kind of plays out sometimes. I think sometimes we look for blame and we gotta assign that to someone else, especially if we're feeling yucky. But as I said before, for me, I do a lot of introspection first. I look within and try to find out, hey, how did I move in this scenario? How did I feel? When did I feel that? And what did I do about it when I did? I think a lot of times too, with regard to stepping in and being a problem solver for people, is that people can often confuse being needed with being valued. And you can't always conflate the two. They're not always the same. We can confuse giving a person our love to giving them constant access to us. Just because you love somebody doesn't mean you always have to give access to you. I think one of the kinder things you can do when you love somebody is say no. Let them figure things out a little bit themselves. Ooh, excuse me, between the glasses, I'm trying not to mess up my makeup and drink my water and all of that, girl. She's having a time. But I think too, and I talked about this a little bit before in my video where I was talking about outgrowing friendships. There's a difference between, I would say, kindness and extending yourself and self-abandonment. I think as part of self-care, we have to make sure we don't cross the bridge over into self-abandonment by doing so much for others. You know, you extend yourself and extend yourself. I'm going back to what my grandmother said. I've seen this with some of my friends' children. They're adults, but I've seen this in my personal life where my grandmother told us that poor people have poor ways in the sense that they beg for the things that they need, but they go out and pay for the stuff that they want. I watched my girlfriend and listened to her. She was torn up about it too. But she was upset that she had loaned her son some money. And the money she loaned him, you know, he needed it because he had gotten behind in his rent or mortgage. I'm not sure where he lives. But she needed it because she was going to use it for her trip. Him needing it for something like that, she was like, okay, let me go ahead and do that and da-da-da-da. She then asked him to help her with some plumbing And he was supposed to be, I'm just gonna say, he was supposed to be at her house around 12 o'clock. So she called him, and it was probably 12:30 or so. And she was like, "Hey, where are you? Are you on your way?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming. We stopped to get something to eat first." Baby, they done stopped and ate at a restaurant and all of that. So you over here begging for your rent or your mortgage, but you got enough money to keep going out and eating. And meanwhile, your mother gave up her vacation. Yeah, but you know what? Can't blame him. That again, I had that hard conversation with her. I was like, yeah, that's kind of messed up. He probably is just going with the natural order of y'all's dynamic. Mom saves him. Here he is, a whole grown man. He got behind it. I get it. These are hard economic times, baby. These grocery prices, gas prices, ain't nothing going down but morale. You know what I mean? So I get that part of it. But I don't know. That's just me. I've not been a person who's struggling with rent, struggling with car notes, and all of that, and I still got the money to go stop at Chick-fil-A all the time. I don't see that. Those two don't, and that's not the restaurant he was at. But mind my business. That's what I was saying. What I was saying was that if we haven't been taught the difference between that love and that kindness and extending ourselves to a point, not a breaking point, but just to a point of our own comfort, then yeah, we are committing ourselves to self-abandonment. And that's what she did. She missed out on her trip for somebody eating at the restaurant and taking his time to come help her with her apartment. Like, that hurt my heart. I think another thing we as women learn is that you'll hear men talk about, I want a woman to be my peace. I want a woman to be easygoing. I want somebody who's low maintenance. So we start learning that to be good or to be considered a good woman, we have to be those things. We got to do all the things that cause us to extend ourselves like crazy. And then when the hard times come, if infidelity comes or something like that, man, if we're not a ride or die chick, then God dog, well, you're doing it wrong. We hear that and we do that and we run so much that we get to a place where we actually have the nerve to feel guilty when we rest. We have the nerve to feel guilty sometimes about just being still and just doing things for ourselves. And that's not how this should go. You hear about people so often being a yes person. I don't hardly, I'm saying hardly to be kind, but I can't think of one guy I know who's a yes guy. Not one. I know several yes women. But before you say yes to something, give yourself a couple of seconds and determine whether or not this is something you actually want to say yes to. And if it's not, don't. And sometimes if they don't understand those simple boundaries there are things you can actually say. I love you, but I can't extend myself to this right now. I love you and I want to support you, but I have to make sure I'm not draining myself. I really need this vacation. So is there another way that you can get this money? Is there another person you can lean on so that you can have what you need and I can too? Like, it takes that little bit of communication, in my humble opinion. I've looked around, I'm like, who put me first? Who's gonna do that? It's gonna have to be you sometimes. It's gonna have to be me. So that's what that looks like. That's what that kind of sounds like. You can give them the answer of, you know what, I'm really not able to do that at this time. I'm really not able to listen to this at this time. What you're saying is very important and valuable, but I don't have the wherewithal to listen right now. Is it possible for us to table this and talk about it in just a little bit? It's a way of not only setting your boundaries, but you're letting that person know you care. You're letting them know you want to be there for them in the capacity that you're able to be there for them. And you're also letting them know that, hey, this time, that the time for me to do that for you is not right now. You're giving them an opportunity to pour into you as well by respecting that and looking for other ways to perhaps solve their problem. To me, when you consistently and always solve a problem for them, even if it's your adult child, you're stopping them from growing. You're stopping them from having their hustle moment or their time to really think and figure stuff out. I do that even to my kindergarten kids. They don't know a word. I don't know a word either. We don't know this word together. So you're gonna have to huff and puff and use some of those skills I taught you to figure it out and sound it out, right? They become better readers because of it. I think what happens is we as parents, we want to provide our kids a softer life. Who doesn't? But sometimes we go too far. We make it too soft for them. We deprive them of the opportunity to hustle and grind and learn and do and disappoint and pull themselves up and all of that. We wonder sometimes how and where a lot of entitled kids come from. And unfortunately, a lot of times they come from us, young kids and adults. That's how you end up when you keep pouring into all those other cups. You end up being a person who's somewhat like me sometimes in some scenarios where I look around and I'm like, well, who poured into my cup? No wonder I'm exhausted. No wonder I feel downtrodden about something. No wonder I'm withdrawn. I've been doing too much. And you gotta not do that. Don't be me. Be better than me. That's why I say all this stuff. And I really hope I'm not being preachy as I'm sharing my life. But sometimes I feel like I'm not all that special. I'm not all that unique. I'm not doing something that other women aren't doing. So maybe I need to say something that other women haven't heard or express a feeling that other women haven't quite felt yet. So that's why I go into some of these long tangents and things like that.
If you ain't never got into a fight with one of your homeboys and then got back cool again later. Yes, sir. Now, this usually happens in teenhood, like the most grown men, but if you was a teenager or a little lower than that, you probably got in a fight with one of your homeboys and y'all got back cool. If you ain't never bagged up leaves, think about this one now. If you've never raked up and bagged leaves, come on, you're not a real man. If you ain't never broke glass just for the hell of it, whether that be bottles, windows, something, you got to have done that. Yes, I say you're looking at me, you got two sons, let them bust some bottles, let them break a window at some point.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no. If you've never set anything on fire, you're really not a man. I'm sorry. Hey, man, ain't gotta be a house or a car or nothing, but you done had to burn something. Men like burning stuff. I'm just saying. Roxy, would you agree? Roxy burns a lot of people. We don't like to. Wait a minute.
Am I a woman? I've done a whole lot of the things that they were talking about. That was just a little skit, I suppose, about man laws. And one of them was if you've never shot a BB gun, climbed on a roof. I think y'all heard the rake leaves and all of that stuff by the time I turned it on, but yeah, I've done a whole lot of that. I guess there's no guessing. I was definitely a tomboy. Had a good time growing up. I would say my time of growing up was just good in general. That it was before social media and all of that. And I swear, I think I sound like I'm 80 years old when I talk about the ills of social media, but especially when I worked in high school, I saw volunteer. That's what it really was. But I saw kids go from joy to pain in 0.25 seconds based on a social media post. And it could be something as simple as a boy saying it's complicated on Facebook. And I forgot what that's supposed to mean. I think it's somewhere between in a relationship and not. And they put it's complicated. And, he had just slept with the girl the night before. How do I know? Because the girl was upset, pulled her to the side, we were talking. And that's what she said. Like that social media is, ooh. Have I even said hello? How rude. Good morning, sunshine. We are on our way to visit Mom to check on her. This is not my usual time to see her. I'm trying to pop in at more awkward times, not awkward, but more times that I don't usually come, just to be consistent about being inconsistent. I'll have to do it too when I'm working, because it feels like the climate of the place has changed. Management has changed. I've seen some turnover in employees, and it's just giving me a different vibe. So along with that different vibe, I gotta act differently. What's up? Hi, hello. Multiple times a day if needed, but Again, I say if you have a loved one who's in assistant or senior living, whatever you want to call it, stop in, pop in, drop in. Stop, pop, and drop it, baby. Stop, pop, and I don't know what's wrong with me. It's early. Ooh, when I tell you that was an exercise in patience. I ain't kidding a little bit. So my mother and I were sitting and talking. It was breakfast time, and there were some other people around her because they eat in a common area. And one lady wanted some jelly, and so she told her friend to ask that lady over there. It didn't occur to me that they were talking about me. And so she asked another resident, these were two white women, I should start with that. Two white women. The lady told her to ask me. I didn't realize it because I wasn't looking that way. And so the lady asked another white woman, a third white woman. And she said, no, not her, the colored girl. And now you got my attention. And so I turned and I said, I beg your pardon? And the lady said, oh, can I have, no, not you. What, what did you say? And she said, oh, I don't mean nothing by it. I've just said it all the time. And I said, oh, it's not a nice word to say. I said, you could describe me as the one in the striped shirt or the black lady, but colored is just not a nice term. It's from some time ago. And she said, oh, I'm an older lady, and that's what I've always said. And she just kind of dismisses it like that makes it okay. And I reiterated, it's not a nice term. So a little time passes, that most of them there have memory issue problems. She said something, colored girl again. And I'm realizing she's got memory issues, so I'm not going in on her. I was just like, oh, that's not a nice term. And she said, oh, well, I've always said it again. I said, then that doesn't make it okay. I don't care to be called by that. And again, she says, well, I've always said that. You haven't always said it to me, like we've just met. So you haven't always said it to me. And I don't like being called that. By now, there's another worker or two. And they said, she's older. And one of them was black, she's older. And that's just kind of how they do. Yeah, until they're taught better. Like you have to help them with that. When someone tells you this is not what they want, to me, if they insist on doing it, it's an agenda. Like and I'm not speaking specifically of her because, she does have memory issues. That's why I gently remind her. But if you're telling someone, oh, that's not for me to be called, I don't appreciate being called that, and they continue to do it, they have an agenda. Unless they have senility issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, something like. I'm going to give you credit for that, but outside of that, my mother lived at another facility. I'm telling you, I've moved her as needed. But when she was at the other one, there was a person. There we go. Sorry, I knew I was crossing railroad tracks. Hate those. But anyway, there was a person who, when born, was assigned female. I'm not sure whether or not. I'm not sure. I'll just say Jane. I'm not sure Jane has had the surgery, the reassignment surgery, or any of that, but it really doesn't matter. In between time and in the meantime, Jane identifies as female. I'm not going to kid you. You can look at the person and tell, there's been a little bit of reassignment. At least you would be suspicious. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, I see this person with a wig. I see this person with lashes. I see this person with lip gloss. I'm not tempted to call this person a man. My mind just doesn't work that way. If you're identifying as a woman, that's what I'm going to refer to you as. But one of her coworkers was insistent on saying, well, I saw your personnel file and it's so and so on there, so that's what I'm gonna call you. And I was like, what? Why would you do that? I didn't even mean to jump into their conversation, but I was like, why would you do that? This person is taking the time to dress herself. She's taking the time to, do all the things needed it's, to me, it's obvious. This is a person who identifies as a woman. She said, ain't it obvious it's not a woman? That part is none of my business. Like, I just, I, to me, again, I'll say this gently. People who do that, they just have an agenda. Like, what are you doing? What's your intent behind it? Is it to make that person feel small? Is it, because you can't think that, oh, if I keep calling her a man, they gonna change their mind and decide to stop being a woman. You can't think that. You don't believe that. So why won't you just go ahead and identify that person as they identify themselves? Like, why would you? That lady can't believe, if she were in her right mind. Because I would like to think that before she got to this stage and this time, someone told her, yeah, we're not saying colored. Or, yeah, I'm not answering the colored. So I would think someone has said that. But again, I give her a pass because she has dementia. She's where she belongs for a reason. But I'm still not just going to sit there and be called, you know what? I was getting ready to go to Ulta Beauty because I need that primer. I'm still not going to sit there and be called colored. Like, that just doesn't even rest with my spirit. It's just ridiculous. Why would you? I don't know. Made me think of that whole Kevin Hart roast. I can't get into that. And you know what? Since I brought it up, when I say that, it's not a matter of me being bothered so much by the jokes of it all. Like, Kevin Hart didn't write the jokes. He didn't tell the jokes. Any of that. If you're not aware, I'm talking about the whole controversial issue of some, to me, very ill, they were in poor taste kind of jokes. And yes, I get the whole point of a roast is to kind of say stuff that's a little bit edgy. There's a difference between saying stuff that's edgy and saying stuff that's flat out in poor taste. So I'm not holding Kevin Hart accountable for that, but to hear that and to not stand up and say something like, "Ho, pump the brakes on that one," that, to me, that's all it would have taken, and things would have been redirected. So that was my reason for, like, whoa, why are you saying that about the person that identifies as a woman? Because I'm that person who just really wonders, what's the intent behind that? And sometimes I feel like some people just don't understand. So, like I said, in that case, you couldn't think that, oh, if I say that, then this person is suddenly going to start being the man that he should be. You can't think that. That's not going to happen. All that can do is make a person feel bad. And maybe that was the intent. Because I feel like when you're happy and well-adjusted in your life, oh, you want to be called Tanya instead of Tony? Perfectly fine. I don't mind that. Oh, you want to be called black instead of colored? Perfectly fine. I don't mind that. You want to be called Kimberly instead of Kim? Perfectly fine. I don't mind that. Like, I just think there's an agenda. I don't know if it's to make someone feel bad, if it's to establish yourself as the alpha in the, like, what are you, to make me okay with a racist like, what is the intent behind refusing to call someone by what they want to be called? That lady irritated me a little bit, but she only irritated me this much because, again, she's older and she's senile. Who really irritated me were the workers that were like, oh, yeah. That was that Kevin Hartish kind of thing. So I don't fault her for saying what she said. I don't even fault her for feeling how she felt. You're going to address me a certain way, though. I'm not answering to that. That part's not okay, but I just don't understand the sitting by like,
I'm a fire. You're not mine, I can't deny it. Don't you hear me talking, baby? Love me now, I'll go crazy.
Nah, I don't want you, baby. Nah. I just want to sing on top of the beat. All the way down.
I will love you anyway, even if you cannot stay. I think you are the one for me. Here is where you want to be. I just want to satisfy you. 'Cause you're not mine and I can't deny it, yeah. Don't you hear me talking, baby? Love me now, I'll go crazy. Don't you know you're my everything?
Now, I want you to leave the music out. I just want to do a little something for the Jeep, you know what I'm saying? Some kind of hardcore, some kind of hip hop. Some my people, alright?
I wish you were my lover, but you act so undercover. Love you, child, my whole life long is be right.
These are a gorgeous color.
I'm only what you make me, baby. Don't walk away, don't be so shady. Don't want your mind, don't want your money. These words I said, they may sound funny, but oh, sweet thing. Yeah. Don't you know you're my everything? Whoa, sweet thing. Don't you know you're my everything? Yes, you are.
Yeah, turn it up just a little bit, alright?
Yes, you are, baby.
Yeah, right there.
Cute little sponges for $4, you know. And a straw. This was just reminding me I need to get out and skate. I feel like this should actually be bigger.
Take out the vocal, let me just hit a beat. Alright, bring the backgrounds in.
You're my heat, you're on fire. You're not mine, I can't deny it. Don't you hear me talking, baby? Love me now, I'll go crazy. You're my heat, you're on fire. You're not mine, I can't deny it. Don't you hear me talking, baby? Love me now, I'll go crazy. You're my heat, you're on fire. You're not mine, I can't deny it. Don't you hear me talking?
Cute little sponge holder for $3. I see flamingos as a theme this year.
Baby, I just don't get it. Do you enjoy being hurt? I know you smell the perfume, the makeup on his shirt. You don't believe his stories. You know that there are lies, bad as you are.
We're gonna talk about heavy, heavy, heavy.
Baby, you never worry about what I do. I be coming home back to you every night, doing you right. You're the type of woman deserve good things. This for the diamond, a head for the ring. Baby, you're
That was $11. I'm curious.
you should let me
Oh, okay, that's $22. Even at half price, it's gonna be $11.
everything you want and need. A baby, good love and protection. Make me your selection. Show you the way love's supposed to be. listen, your true beauty's description looks so good that it hurts. You're a dime plus 99, and it's a shame, don't even know what you're worth. Everywhere you go, they stop and stare, cause you're bad and it shows. From your head to your toes, out of control. Baby, you know, baby, you never worry about.
Did I look down this aisle too?
Back to you every night, doing you right.
Yeah, I've gone too far now. I guess, yeah, that's the only one in that pattern. Darn it. I mean, they got it for this. I would have gotten it even if it was in that pattern, you know? I didn't even know I wanted an apron until I came here and saw that. Yeah, this is more lawn things. I thought it would have made sound. It's pretty, but I was hoping it made some kind of sound, like a door chime.
That's all you need, baby.
These are cute, and again goes with my blue chair. But one thing I've learned is that the lawn maintenance people could not care less about your stuff that's out there, and I get it. I know I said I'm not into flamingos like that for real, and this isn't even a particularly cute umbrella, but the fact that it's self-standing, I kind of like that. And it's $4. Job Blues is $17.99. Yeah, okay. No wonder they got so many still. They got me looking at aprons I don't need, umbrellas I don't need. Let me go to where I need to go. I need to go to Ulta and buy some primer and a couple of other things. Let's go. I like the idea of the shimmer, and I gave this a try, but it's probably a little more glittery than I like. I want a shimmer, but not the glimmer. I like the idea of this tinted makeup with sunscreen in it. The only thing is, I know sunscreen has to be reapplied every 2 hours, so I think I'm ready for some new mascara as well. I'm good on the setting spray. Oh, that's a pretty color. What's this one called? Better Than Before? That's gorgeous. Butter with thyme. I feel like that would be a pretty combination for that gradient sunset effect. I like it in pitch black, dramatic. Shall we try another one? Volume and definition. I got primer, blush, mascara. Can't remember if there was something else I said. Maybe not. I think the last thing on my little agenda is I want to stop by Aldi and pick up a melon. I am proud of me. One of the things I feel like I've been doing to save just a little more money lately is I'm not buying. Where is there? Aldi, I'm acting like I don't know this area. Oh, I know where I'm going to do. But one of the things that has saved me a little bit of money has been I'm not buying a week's worth of groceries. You know what I mean? It's just me. So, yeah, that means I have to make an additional trip or so to the store in a week because I eat a lot of produce, especially in the summer. Oh, that reminds me. I need to get some more of that spray that I like for my countertops. Y'all, I get that spray from Dollar Tree, and I want to say it has peppermint and sage. I think that's what it's called. For all the produce and stuff that I have, I don't have a bunch of little gnats and all of that. Ever since last year when I started using that spray, could it be a coincidence? Yeah, it could be, but I don't think so. I think they genuinely don't like that peppermint sage smell. I don't see them around. They have it in a multi-purpose cleaner, got that. They have it in stainless steel, also have that, like it's around my kitchen. I'm wiping down the trash can with it, all of that. So I genuinely credit that little Dollar Tree spray to me not having a bunch of little gnats and stuff. But the thing I was saying that helps me to save money in terms of groceries is I was finding myself every week throwing out produce, stuff that I actually like but maybe didn't get to, and just buying less of it. So instead of shopping for the week, throwing that away at the end of the week when, trash comes, I just buy a couple of items here. I might buy 2 melons. Now, I'm not going to hold you. I'm good for buying 2 melons because I do eat that many, especially in the summertime, in a couple of days. Yeah, it's the truth of the matter. But because if it's a good melon, I'm going to just eat it up like that. If it's an average or okay melon, I'm going to juice it up, add my ginger, a little turmeric, either way it goes, and I'm drinking it. So the melons I get, but things like a bunch of onions, unless I plan on using them, a bunch of whatever, because I'm good for buying them in not bulk, but you know how Aldi sells a bag of onions or something like that? Then that's what I would generally get. But yeah, not so much anymore unless I really plan on 1, cooking with them, or 2, chopping them up and freezing them. And I have enough chopped up and frozen right now that I wouldn't buy another bag up. Not me finding a spot in the shade. Yeah, car behind me, you're gonna have to wait. I did hit the brakes suddenly, but I suddenly saw the shade. What's up? That's what I'm talking about. Just finished saying how hot it was, and every little bit helps. I could use a salad. I hate that they gone up on salads. But I know I'm in my lazy era for now, so we'll just pick up 1 bag. It used to be a matter of, I'll pick up a few bags and that would make me eat them or whatever, or so I thought. Oh my goodness, what is with the price of yams lately? I'm just not into $1.15. They're usually like 65 cents a pound. Y'all doing too much. Could use a little mystery price ginger. Where's the price? I see garlic. I guess it almost doesn't matter because I want it. Anyway, the battery's dying down, so let's get home.
Girl,
Girl, what is you doing in the kitchen? You looking for a haul or something? You were with me when I got her. I got what? 2 melons, some ginger, and a salad. Listen, get in here, get in here. I need you to save me from myself. I don't know what I'm thinking. Girl, Groupon got some kind of deal going on right now. You go under travel, right? I've already clicked on some of it, but I'm showing you how I did it. And then here, I got a solo mystery getaway surprise destination with flights and hotel included. So I'm looking at the solo mystery deal from February 1st of this year running through December 20th. If you haven't done it yet, girl, there is time. I'm just, I'm like, what am I crazy? Here's the deal. Let me blow this up to make sure y'all can see it. Okay, here it is. Flights, hotel included. Every booking comes with round trip flight and private accommodations to a 3 or 4-star hotel guaranteed. So if it's solo, it's tailored for just me, no second voucher required. It's a mystery getaway. It's either going to be 2, 4, or 7 nights. Have no idea. It makes for a great gift, they said, but what's not included is airport list below may incur additional fees, which means we don't have a hub here in KC. I think the nearest one is Chicago, baby. I don't care. I'm going. So it says travel dates. You got February 1st to the 20th. I told you that. Then they got a few blackout dates. Cool. I'm not pressed for that. I got some summertime. What's up? And what you're going to get is round trip hotel designated for one destination. But get this. Let me scroll down, girl, because this is the crazy part. You have no idea where you're going. If you get a gold tier, this is 7 nights to a premium destination. I could be going to Dubai, which I low-key hope not because it's too hot. Istanbul, Thailand. Thailand is on my bucket list. What? Bali, Singapore, London, Paris. Are you serious? Barcelona. Listen, Prague. What? If you do a silver tier, and they have 12 of those, you get 4 nights on this destination: Aruba, San Juan, Nassau, Carousel, Barbados. Are you freaking kidding me? Even the bronze tier, which I guess is supposed to be the lowest because you only get 2 nights. Where do you go for 2 nights? Anywhere in the U.S. It's kind of looking like Atlanta, Chicago, all of that stuff. I already know I'm not doing that. So I'm either doing 4 to parts unknown, like baby, I don't even know where I'm going, or I'm thinking about 7. Oh, like, who the heck am I? What? Oh my gosh, I need somebody to save me from myself. Because why does this sound like such a good idea? Like, are you freaking kidding me? There's a possibility I could go to Thailand for $300. I'm sorry, what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh, first of all, my luck with travel, nope. Used to be a bad thing. This is about to be a good, I'm getting hot. This is about to be a good thing. This is going to be a wonderful trip. This is, you know, y'all are coming with me, but this is slightly nerve-wracking, insane, crazy. But I'm so freaking excited. I'm doing it. I am doing it. I am going to let go of some of the control. I am going to embrace this adventure. I am probably going to go into giggle fits. It's going to drive me crazy, but I'm doing it. Come on, $300. That's an experience of a lifetime. Get out of Barcelona, Paris. Don't know where I'm going. Where's the worst place I could go? Where is the worst place? I don't know. It doesn't matter. You know what? Because I'm not even going to say that name. I'm not speaking it into existence, baby. Come on, let's go. We going. I don't know where we're going, but we going. Let's go.
Tonight, to the movie, to the park. I'll have you home before it's dark. So let me know.